This is Kathy from Gadget Stop 321, and in today's video I'm going to be taking a look at my currently inked pens, and I'll take a look at some of the things I got from Yoseka Stationery. Now, before I take a look at my new stationery, I just wanted to say that I've been using my Hobonichi 2022 as my ink journal recently, and I've been using Hobonichis for a couple years now for ink journals, but I finally have settled into a more organized system. I use the calendar, the monthly calendars, for my index, and then I use a 2-page spread for the writing samples. That way, if I have notes about an ink, I can use the blank page there on the left for those notes. And in my calendar index, if I have a name that goes a little long, I have a little extra room. So that has been working out great. I love that. And the stationery that I recently picked up from Yoseka included some more ink collection cards. This is the exact same as the red box that I got from Sugar Inks, and it's just a different color box. It's still the same cards from, they're called the Tsubame ink collection cards. I love the paper, and I was running low on blank cards. I think I've got around 30 more inks that I need to do some tests on, and I didn't have enough cards for all of those, so I got another box, and I wanted the blue box. It's a dark navy blue. That way maybe I can use the different colors to help me organize into 2 different categories of inks, make retrieving ink collection cards for ink comparisons a little bit quicker. And inside my little package, I got a Yoseka Stationery sticker and a nice little handwritten note about my specific purchase. It mentions that the writing set that I got has really good fountain pen friendly paper, so I'm going to give that a try in my writing sample in just a minute. And I got this little writing set. I don't know, I guess it's large enough that you could use it to send something through the mail, but I was thinking about, since it's got black cats and my daughter got a black cat last Christmas, I was thinking about using these to put in my gifts, to write a little handwritten note, my gifts to my immediate family. I think there's only 4 envelopes. So write a little note to each person in my immediate family, and any receipts they have for Christmas gifts I could put in there. So I thought that would be kind of neat. And then I got this Life writing pad and some envelopes to go with it, and this just shows what the inside of the envelopes look like. I thought that looked really classy. They're both cream color. I would have preferred, they had a white writing pad and white envelopes, but I can't remember, it was either the writing pad or the envelopes were out of stock, so I went with the cream color, and I think it looks pretty classy. I'm going to do a writing sample in just a minute on this paper. And in my Yoseka Stationery order, I got a clip to go with my Lilliput because I really just needed a roll stop. But then once I got it on here, I thought, yeah, that would go nicely with my little notebook. I've been using this little pen quite a bit in my writing samples with a broad nib. I originally got this with a extra fine nib, and it was just a bad nib. It was the worst Kaweco nib I've ever gotten. It really skipped and severely hard started. It was an extra fine, and I really want a nice extra fine for this little pocket pen. Right now I've put the medium nib on there. I haven't inked it up yet because I'm still not sure. I'm thinking about getting an extra fine for it. I don't know. I might ink it up and see how I feel about it, and it's nice if I don't want to carry it around in my pocket, which I tend, since this is such a lightweight pen. When I carry it in my pocket, I always forget that it's there. It's been through the washing machine at least once, and I've lost it in my laundry several times and had to go dig for it before it got to the washing machine. So I would recommend, if you're going to get a Lilliput, I really wish I would have gone with the brass Lilliput, but it's a little bit more expensive, but I'm getting off track. Now, this didn't come from Yoseka. I ordered this, and I can't remember where I ordered it from. I I saw this in my Instagram ads, and man, Instagram ads get me every time. This is a Harry Potter special edition platinum shooting star. And the only one they had left was the Hufflepuff. And my oldest daughter is a proud Hufflepuff, so I got this for her for Christmas. She's not a fountain pen user, and in fact, she doesn't write very much at all. In her line of work, she works at an animal shelter, and so she does very little writing. It's cleaning up animals and work on the computer. So I thought platinum pens, these type of pens, don't dry out. You can leave them for weeks and months, and there have been tests that, you can leave them for years. But at least weeks and months between writing. My two Preppies that I keep here on my desk, I use them very rarely, but they start up every time, no problems at all. So I thought this would be a good pen for her. She could carry it in her purse. Platinum black ink, you can use it for writing checks. It's very, very versatile, so I think she will like that. And now I'm going to do a couple of writing samples with my currently inked pens. Most of these are pens that I've had inked for quite a while. In fact, there might not be anything new. I can't remember what I included on the previous currently inked. I've got a new ink in one of them, so I will start with it. My Bexley sleeve filler, I cleaned out the Kiwamatsu that was giving me problems with minor hard starts, and I inked it up with Colorverse Dark Energy. So I'll show you how that is working for me. And we'll see how this Life writing pad is working. And you see, I didn't really have a hard start, but it had a little trouble getting started here, skipped a little bit here. And I think Dark Energy suffers from the same issue that Tokiwamatsu did. It's a very saturated ink. Now I'm reverse writing right here, so you can kind of see what color the ink is, but it's very dark and saturated, and it has almost a silvery sheen to it. And I think that sheen on this stub nib makes just the slightest little film on the nib and gives it a little bit of trouble getting started. I was hoping that this Dark Energy could be my permanent ink for this pen because it goes so nicely. I don't know how well this will show up, but that ink matches some of the little chunks in this pen just perfectly. But it's not bad. I enjoy writing with it. It's very smooth, but I'm still looking for the perfect ink for this pen. I just wanted to show a nice close-up of this 18 karat stub nib. I have a new appreciation of ebonite feeds. The ink flow in this pen, once it gets started, is just very luxurious. And the pen I'm absolutely loving writing with right now is my Lamy CP1. I've enjoyed this pen for a while, but I think I had the medium nib in it a lot of the time, and that medium nib, I had trouble with it wanting to skip. It just didn't fit on the feed that well. It was kind of loose, but now I've got the extra fine nib on it, and it just writes perfectly. I prefer writing with extra fine nibs like this on a smaller ruling, but I have to say, this paper with this extra fine nib just feels really nice. I love the sound of it. It has just a very slight chalky feel to it, very slight. And maybe, yeah, I would say, yeah, it definitely has just a very small amount of tactile feedback, but the sound of it just sounds really nice, that scritchy, scratchy sound. And I'm loving Cactus Fruit Eel paired with this pen. Next, I've got my cherry wood kit pen that was given to me several years ago when I first got into fountain pens, and I've replaced the nib that came with it with a Nemesign .6 stub nib. This ink looks really nice with the trim and just with the color of this paper. This would be a nice ink to use for letter writing on this paper. I haven't used this pen very much. In fact, I haven't used many of my pens very much except for the Lamy. I've been using it the most, but I haven't had any trouble with this starting each time I come up here and just play with my pens a little bit. In addition to my Lamy, the next pen that's gotten the most use is this Modern Fuel bolt action pen. And I'm not the one that's been using it the most. I've been using it for addressing letters and writing checks and little odds and ends. But I take this to church with me every Wednesday. My husband and I and some of the adults from our church work with a group of kids. They memorize Bible verses and learn Bible stories. And one of the girls from that group really loves my new pen. I took it there after I first got it, and it's a solid pen. I don't have to worry about a kid dropping it or doing anything to mess it up. And she loved it so much that I take it every Wednesday night and she uses it in her little activities that she has to do. And it's developed the patina nice and uniformly. When the patina first started forming, it was kind of splotchy and just made the pen look dirty, but I'm really loving the look of it now. It's nice and uniform. The bolt and the little area inside the bolt and the knock have a bit less of a patina. They're a little bit brighter, so it stands out and looks really nice. It has a Pilot G2 refill in it, and I'll just do a quick sample with it. One of the things I love about this pen is being able to adjust the tip. I hate it when the tip of a pen is too far recessed into the pen itself and it just looks like it needs to extend out a little bit more. So I'm enjoying this. Now the Modern Fuel pencil that I received, I firmly believe that it is my favorite pencil. And I had one of those feelings like, oh, this is the only pencil I ever need. I've been through this before with my pens. I'll get a certain pen and think, I don't need any other pens. This is my favorite. Well, I've had that feeling with this pencil, but I know not to be rash and get rid of my Retro 51 Hexomatic and my Rotring 600 and my TWSBI Precision pencil. I really enjoy all those, but I really do think this will be my main pencil. I just really like the grip section of it, but I haven't had any occasion to use my pencil much, so I'm still reserving my final thoughts on it, but the initial impression is I really like this pencil. Really nice. And finally, I've got a couple of Preppies. I thought I would be writing a lot of letters with this pen and ink combination, but I just haven't yet. But I still love this Preppy with a homemade stub nib. I took one of the medium nibs and ground it to a stub. I really like really fine stub nibs. And I've got it inked up with Iroshizuku Momiji. Really matches this cherry blossom pen nicely. Again, the sound of this nib on the paper is really nice. And the key, I found the key to really getting the most out of Momiji is you really need to have a wet nib. When I first got my little bottle of Momiji, I was using it in a dry stub nib. It was the stub nib that I got on a Pilot Prera, and those Pilot steel stub nibs are dry and just Momiji look like a pale bubblegum pink, and I thought for the longest time that I didn't like Momiji, but in a nice wet nib, it has a gold sheen if you're using the right nib and paper combination. It's just really nice. And finally, another Platinum Preppy with my homemade blade nib. It's another platinum medium nib. This time I ground it into kind of a blade. It has a little architect characteristic to the writing, very faintly because it's a very fine architect. Wow, my Preppy, it might be my ink is stuck here in the back. So I'm not going to blame the seal on the pen. My ink is stuck here in the back. Let me give it a little shake so that little agitator can get the ink down to the bottom. And I like the reverse writing of this pen. Though, again, this has such a fine nib to it, I prefer writing on smaller rulings. The reverse writing has a little bit of stubby nature to it. All right, let's take a look at the back of this paper. Okay, there's no printing on the back, but there's show-through like you see in Tomoe River paper. And let's see, my gel pen, let me lay this down. I don't know if you can even see this. I'm looking through the viewfinder. The gel pen is the one that shows through the most, the black gel pen, but I think I would be able to write on both sides of this since the ruling is so large and, you know, because of the border, you have a smaller area for writing. I would probably write on both sides of the page. All right, if you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel.